parents took my twin sister to Hawaii after graduation, leaving me behind. While they were gone, a woman gave me $50,000, and my family freaked out when they found out. So a few weeks back, my sister and I wrapped up high school and we're both off to college this fall. Alex, my twin sister, has always been the smarty pants between us. She totally aces her academics while I'm more into sports. I even scored a football scholarship recently, which I think is kinda huge, but guess what? My parents were only hyped about Alex being valedictorian. They whisked her away to Hawaii to celebrate, and all I got was a congrats card. Seriously. And now they expect me to share a gift I got from another family member with her because she's throwing temper tantrums. The day after we graduated, my folks asked Alex what gift she wanted right in front of me, mind you, and didn't even bother asking me. Typical. Anyway, Alex decided she wanted a trip to Hawaii with a few friends, and my parents were all in. So, while she's busy celebrating and calling her friends, I asked my parents if I was tagging along. Usually we do family vacays together, but since this was her special gift, I wasn't sure if I'd be included or even welcomed by Alex. She doesn't really like me much, and the feeling's mutual. She's spoiled, arrogant, and super disrespectful. No one from school really liked her either, except her clique of cronies who think she's all that. But honestly, they're just like her. So when I asked, my parents had to mull it over, which was a dead giveaway that I wasn't going. They eventually said it'd be unfair to turn her gift into a family vacation. I pointed out that they were going too, but they insisted it was because Alex wanted them there, and yeah, she probably wouldn't want me tagging along since we don't get along. I headed back to my room feeling pretty bummed. I mean, a football scholarship is a big deal too, right? But nope, my parents didn't see it that way. They were cool with leaving me home alone for a week while they partied it up in Hawaii. I felt miserable for a whole day until it hit me. I'd have the house to myself for a week. Suddenly, that didn't seem too bad. While they prepped for their trip, it felt like I was invisible, which wasn't new but still sucked. The day they left, my parents at least said goodbye and reminded me to take care of the house. Alex didn't even glance my way. Classic her. With the place to myself, I invited my friends over. We gamed, ate tons of junk food, and generally did whatever we felt like from morning till they had to go home. This was the plan for each day. On the final day, I was gearing up for another chill day with my buddies. But at around 8 a.m., way too early for my friends, the doorbell rang. Half asleep, I went to see who it was, and was shocked to see someone who looked a lot like my mom standing there. But wait, my mom was in Hawaii. After a closer look, I noticed a few differences. This woman was taller, younger looking, and had blonde highlights which my mom would never have. Definitely not my mom, but someone who looked freakishly similar. I decided to open the door thinking she might be a relative. Turns out she was my mom's cousin living in the UK for the last 20 years, which is why I'd never seen her before. From what I knew, my mom had no siblings and was an only child, so this was all pretty wild to me. She was just a couple of years younger than my mom, so I had guessed she was probably a cousin or something. But honestly, it was weird because she looked almost identical to my mom. I'd never heard my mom mention any cousin from the UK, but then again, I don't chat with my mom that often anyway. I invited her inside doing the polite thing, but made sure to mention that my parents weren't home. I figured she was here to see them, not me. To my surprise, she said she was actually here to see me and my sister. That threw me off because I had no clue what she wanted with us. Anyway, I told her I was the only one home since my sister was away. She seemed a bit bummed out and asked where everyone was, so I decided to be straight with her. Her face looked trustworthy, so I spilled the beans. Like most people, she was shocked to hear my family had ditched me and gone to Hawaii with my sister to celebrate her high school graduation. Keep in mind I had graduated at the same time, but no Hawaii for me. I tried to play it cool and not whine about it to her since I didn't want my mom getting mad at me for airing our dirty laundry. She was really sympathetic and apologized, saying she totally understood how I felt. Then out of nowhere, she pulled out her checkbook and wrote me a check asking me to fill in the amount. I was stunned and told her I couldn't accept money from her. We went back and forth for a few minutes until she finally wrote a check for $50,000. I couldn't believe it and kept insisting I couldn't take it, but she wouldn't hear it. She said it was the least she could do for me, which confused me even more. After that, we chatted a bit about my family and all, but I could tell her mind was elsewhere. After about half an hour, she said she had to leave and hoped to see me again soon. Once she left, I realized how weird the whole thing had been. The way she acted made me feel like she might not really be my mom's cousin. She looked too much like my mom, and I got this gut feeling she might be a sister no one told us about. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but that's just the vibe I got. Now, about where I messed up. I was so thrown off by our meeting, I left the check on the coffee table under a bunch of mail from that week. Then my friends came over and we had a little party, so I totally forgot about it. The next morning, my family came back from Hawaii, all happy and celebratory. Except for me, of course. A few minutes after they got home, my parents started going through the mail and found the check at the bottom. Luckily, I was right there and managed to snatch it out of my dad's hands, but he had already seen it was addressed to me. He started asking a ton of questions, which I can't blame him for. I mean, if someone writes your kid a $50,000 check, you're gonna have questions. So I told them about the woman who visited the conversation we had and how she wrote me the check. While I was explaining, I noticed my parents looked super nervous. I swear the color drained out of their faces, even though they were all tanned from Hawaii. I was about to ask my mom who this cousin really was, but my drama queen sister interrupted, complaining about the check being made out to just me. She has to make everything about herself, so the whole conversation got sidetracked. So I asked her to make the check out to both me and my sister, but she was like, "Nope, just you." This lady knew about both of us, and she totally did it on purpose. I tried to go back to chatting with my parents, but suddenly everyone was talking about the check. It was like they were trying to change the subject, and it worked. My parents started egging my sister on to fight with me, and like clockwork, she fell for it. Pretty soon, Alex was screaming at me, saying it was super unfair and that I needed to split the money with her. That finally got my attention, and I was like, "No way, Jose, you've already got your Hawaii trip with your friends. This check is my gift, so I'm not sharing it, just like you didn't take me to Hawaii." I thought that was a fair argument, but then my parents started pushing her more, saying if our aunt had visited, she obviously intended to give us both a gift. They went on about how I must have played the victim card, making Auntie pity me and write the check just for me. Alex bought it, and honestly, I didn't need to play the victim because, hello, I was a victim of a terrible family. Whether our aunt pitied me or not, the check was for me and no way was I sharing it. Of course, this led to a massive fight. My parents kept making my sister more delusional and entitled. Maybe she didn't catch on, but I saw right through their distraction tactics. They were just trying to divert attention from our aunt. I got super pissed because they were all being ridiculous. Eventually, my mom told me I couldn't live with them anymore if I refused to share the money with my sis. That's when I completely lost it. I started yelling like a nutcase, which I usually avoid because I don't want to stoop to their level, but I couldn't help myself. I told them I knew my rights and wasn't going anywhere, nor was I sharing the money. Not sure about the legal stuff, but I was confident enough that after my outburst, they wouldn't dare come after me. I even called my parents the biggest liars because I was sure they were hiding something from us. I couldn't believe they were trying to pit us against each other to make us forget about our aunt. Then I stormed up to my room, threw stuff around, and calmed myself down. Since then, no one in the family has talked to me. Even at mealtimes, my mom just brings up food and leaves without saying a word. I feel like a prisoner in my own home and honestly thought about running away last night. This morning, the only person who talked to me was Alex, and surprise, surprise, she was just looking out for herself. She came to my room and said this whole mess could have been avoided if I'd just agreed to split the money and stopped bugging our parents about our aunt. She practically blamed me for the hole I dug myself into and then just left. I thought she was super selfish at first, but then I started thinking maybe I've been acting just like her. I mean, 50 grand is a lot of money. Splitting it wouldn't have hurt me, but I wanted it all for myself. Plus, maybe I read too much into the aunt situation, but my parents' reaction was too suspicious to ignore. I feel like I'm losing my mind right now and my emotions are all over the place. I don't even know what I'm most upset about anymore. So what do you guys think? Were my parents acting suspicious about my aunt's visit? And more importantly, am I the jerk for not splitting the $50,000 with my sister? Update 1. Hey everyone. First off, thanks a ton for all the comments and advice. I never imagined so many people would care enough to help me out. It's comforting to know I'm not alone. Sorry if my original post was all over the place. Blame it on the crazy situation. Anyway, I've decided to move out of my parents' house. Been thinking about it long and hard, and it's clear that's what everyone needs. I didn't leave earlier because I thought it would be too extreme, but this time my parents have gone too far. I've never really gotten along with them or my sister, so what's the point of staying? So yeah, I'm moving out. So I'm gonna be crashing with a buddy of mine until college kicks off. His parents were super cool and said I could stay with them for free, even though I tried to chip in for rent. Long story short, I'm finally getting out of here, and bonus, I get to keep all my money. The check's made out to just me, no strings attached, so I don't owe anyone anything, especially not my sister. Honestly, if my folks hadn't ditched me while they went on vacation, I wouldn't have even met my aunt, let alone received this money. So in a weird twist, they kinda led to this situation. My sister's never been nice to me, so it's pretty dumb of her to think she deserves a cut now. Plus, I'm confident my parents will always look out for her, but I can't say the same for me. I need this cash way more than she does, so I don't even know why I was thinking about splitting it with her. I guess I got all emotional for a bit, but I've thought it through and I don't feel guilty anymore. They've never worried about me, so why should I? It's been 3 days since I posted and I've been packing up all my stuff. Tomorrow afternoon, my friend's dad's coming over with his pickup truck and I'm out of here. I seriously can't wait to leave. Update time. So much has changed since my last post, and it's wild to think it's only been 4 days. Where to even start? Right, so I said I was moving out of my parents' place. And yep, I did it. The day after my last post, my friend's dad came by to help me move all my stuff. Didn't have to take any furniture, just a bunch of boxes. My parents saw everything happening but didn't say a word. Alex didn't even bother to come out of her room. She just peeked once and went back inside. After we got the last box in the truck, I was ready to leave without saying goodbye, 'cause I was sure no one cared. But then, my mom stopped me and asked where I thought I was going. I told her straight up that no one in the family had spoken to me for days and they all acted like I didn't exist. Now they could do that for real 'cause I was moving out. It shouldn't have been a shock to them, especially since she said if I didn't share the money with my sister, I wouldn't have a place in this house. Since I wasn't sharing the money, I figured it was better to leave on my own terms than get kicked out. My parents said I was being stupid and that I'd regret it once I realized $50,000 isn't enough to survive on my own. I just brushed it off and walked out and they didn't stop me. Funny enough, my friend's dad was way more supportive than my own folks. He assured me everything would be fine on our drive to his house. They set me up in the guest room and I've been staying there since. My friend's always been a solid guy and now I see why. His whole family is just kind and sweet. It's refreshing to be around a family that actually acts like one. I'm glad to be staying with them until I head off to college. But that's not all. Over the past few days, I also found out some mind-blowing stuff about our recent visitor. Remember how I mentioned she looked a lot like my mom? Well, I was right to be suspicious. Last night, she reached out to me on social media and dropped a bombshell. Apparently, she's my mom's younger sister. She was kicked out of the family because she got pregnant at 19 and, yep, you guessed it, Alex and I are her kids. Since she was too young and still in college, her parents made her give us up for adoption. My parents, who were struggling to have a baby, decided to adopt, but they only wanted one kid and specifically a girl. My birth mom put her foot down and insisted that we both go to the same parents. After some family convincing, my parents adopted us both. For the first few months, my birth mom would visit us, but then my adoptive mom put a stop to it, saying it would confuse us to have two maternal figures. She told her parents it was best for my birth mom to stay away from our family until forever, I guess. So my grandparents sided with my mom and told my biological mom to stay away until my mom was cool with her having a relationship with us. This caused a huge argument and they didn't speak for years. Finally, at the start of this year, my biological mom reached out to my grandparents again. I guess they changed their minds because they gave her our address and that's how she ended up visiting us. Both Alex and I are 18 now, so she figured it was the perfect time to try building a relationship. She probably thought she could eventually tell us the truth, but after meeting me and seeing how my family treated me, she realized she messed up by letting my mom adopt us. It was clear my mom only cared about raising her own daughter. Even though she adopted both of us, she only really accepted Alex, not me. My biological mom felt responsible for that and felt like she had to tell me the truth because nobody else would. That was several hours ago, and I'm still reeling from it. I haven't even told my friend who I'm currently living with. Typing it out here is the first time I'm really saying it out loud. I read her message, but haven't responded yet. While it does explain a lot, I'm just feeling numb, confused, and lost. Life goes on, though, and I know I need to deal with this at some point. I'm hoping some advice from y'all will help. Update. So it's been 2 weeks since I got that message from my bio mom, though I still don't know what to call her. She initially introduced herself as my aunt, but now she's my mom? Weird. Anyway, I finally responded 3 days ago saying there's a lot to discuss and that I'd like to meet in person. I figured I've already lost the family I thought I had, so giving her a chance couldn't hurt. Everyone screws up, and she was only 19 back then. I can't hold that against her. I haven't told Alex yet because I think our mom should be the one to break the news. Which mom? Honestly, I have no idea. All I know is that I'm meeting my bio mom in a couple of days to try and fix our relationship. It seems like she's back for good. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it and hope it goes well. Fingers crossed.